From writing valuable content and giving it away for free, to licensing your work once and getting paid for years by people who use it. These are 8 investments that are keeping you poor. It's not sexy, it's not fast, but dividend stocks are one of the most reliable ways people quietly build wealth and never work again. Here's the illusion. If I'm not working, I'm not earning. But the wealthy figured out a cheat code. Get paid just for owning things. With dividend stocks, companies pay you a slice of their profits just for holding on to their shares. No meetings, no products, just ownership. So why don't more people do it? Simple. It's too boring. There's no adrenaline rush, no meme stock hype. But that's exactly why it works. Real wealth doesn't come with fireworks, it compounds in silence. Let's talk numbers. Imagine you owned $500,000 in dividend-paying stocks yielding 4%. That's $20,000 a year. You didn't sell anything, you didn't lift a finger. You just existed. And every quarter, your broker sends you a payment like clockwork. Take AT&T for example. In 2023, it paid out over $8 billion in dividends. That's more than some countries generate in revenue. Companies like Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, and Coca-Cola have paid dividends for decades, some for over 50 years without missing a single payment. Through recessions, wars, even pandemics. Meet Donna, a retired librarian from Oregon. She never made more than $55,000 a year. But she consistently bought blue-chip dividend stocks through a drip. She had $780,000 in her portfolio, most of it built through reinvested dividends. Today, she earns around $2,800 per month, without touching the principal. I don't need to work anymore, she says. My stocks work for me. So what do the rich do differently? They see dollars as employees. Each dollar should be out there hustling. Dividend stocks put your money to work, and the longer it works, the stronger it gets. And if you think this only works for the rich, think again. $200 a month invested in a dividend ETF like CHD or VIG, compounded over 30 years, could grow into $300,000, $400,000 and generate thousands in yearly income. Now ask yourself, what's more impressive, flexing a $900 iPhone or owning a portfolio that buys you one every month? Common cash flow, if this one hit a little too close to home. And speaking of income that flows while you sleep, let's talk about the humble house that pays you monthly, even if you never live in it. It looks like just another house, but to the wealthy, it's a money-printing machine with a front porch. Rental properties are the oldest wealth-building tool in the book, and yet most people stay away because of one word: hassle. They picture clogged toilets, angry tenants, midnight phone calls. But here's what they don't see: leverage, appreciation, and monthly income that never calls in sick. Let's break it down. A modest $250,000 home in a decent market can rent for $1,900 a month. After paying your mortgage, taxes, insurance, and a property manager, you might clear $500 a month in net income. That's $6,000 a year. Now multiply that by 5 properties. You're making $30,000 annually without ever clocking in. And we haven't even talked about appreciation. That same house could be worth $320,000 in a few years. Meanwhile, your tenants are paying down the loan for you. Add in tax benefits like depreciation, 1031 exchanges and mortgage interest, and it becomes clear: real estate is a wealth machine. Take Marcus, a mail carrier from Ohio. He bought his first duplex at 29, lived in one unit, rented the other. 2 years later, he bought a trip. By 37, he owned 11 rental units and made more in rent than from his postal job. I don't deliver mail anymore, he said. Now I collect rent checks. What do the rich do differently? They don't just buy homes, they buy income. They don't wait for the perfect deal. They buy solid properties in growing neighborhoods, use 30-year fixed-rate loans, and let time do the heavy lifting. You don't need to be a millionaire to get started. With $40,000 saved, you can put 20% down on a $200,000 rental. That single decision could start paying you $300, $500 a month and appreciate over time. Still worried about tenants? That's what property managers are for. You pay 8 to 10% of the rent and they handle everything. You don't need to be a landlord, you need to be an owner. Here's the bottom line. Most people spend decades working to afford their home, where the wealthy buy homes that afford them decades of freedom. But if you think real estate takes effort, wait until you see what happens when you sell a product once and get paid over and over again without lifting a finger. It sounds like a side hustle, but for many, digital products are the asset that replaces their job entirely. You create it once: a guide, an online course, a spreadsheet, even a Canva template, and it keeps selling while you sleep, while you travel, while you binge Netflix. There are no warehouses, no shipping delays, just files being downloaded and money showing up. People fall for this model because it's simple. It feels attainable. No gatekeepers, no massive capital, just your knowledge turned into income. And unlike a 9-to-5, it doesn't demand your time once it's built. Let's talk facts. A $49 digital planner sold 2,000 times earns $98,000 with zero inventory. And creators like this exist everywhere, from teachers making math worksheets to chefs selling recipe Take Nina, a 33-year-old from Lisbon. She built a Notion template to help people organize their week, promoted it with a single tick. Within 3 months, she made $11,000. I built it in a weekend, she said. Now it pays for my rent every month. The rich see this as leverage. They don't trade time for money. They trade creativity for systems. And they know one truth. Digital has zero marginal cost. It costs just as much to sell to 100 people as it does to 10,000. Most people spend years gaining skills and knowledge, then do nothing with it. But the wealthy package that knowledge, automate the sales process, and let it run on autopilot. Now imagine this. Instead of buying a $2,000 couch, you use that money to hire a designer and launch a simple course or product. You only need 41 sales at $49 to break even. After that, pure profit, 24/7. Subscribe if you've ever justified a $1,000 purchase by calling it an investment. But if you think building your own product is powerful, wait until you hear how some people are earning 6 figures by owning nothing but digital attention. They're the most boring asset on the list, but that's exactly why they work so well. Index funds are the slow, quiet, methodical path to wealth, and the wealthy know it. Here's the common misconception. I need to find the next Tesla or time the market. That belief leads people to jump in and out of stocks, chase hype, and burn money in the name of being clever. But the rich, they skip the circus. They just buy the entire market and let time do the work. So what exactly are index funds? They read baskets of stocks that mirror a market index like the S&P 500. Instead of picking winners and losers, you buy a little piece of everything. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Coca-Cola, Amazon, all of it, in one fund. Why do people overlook them? Because they're not exciting. Index funds won't triple overnight, but they also won't collapse because a CEO tweeted something stupid. And over time, they crush most professional investors. Let's go to the data. From 1926 through today, the S&P 500 has averaged about 10% annual returns. That includes every war, recession, market crash, and political crisis. If you invested $300 a month in an S&P 500 index fund from age 25 to 65, you'd retire with over $1.5 million, or without lifting a finger or checking a single stock chart. Take Warren Buffett, one of the richest men on earth. His advice to most investors: put 90% in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund and 10% in short-term bonds. That's not just advice for beginners. The strategy he left in his own will for his wife. Simple, effective, proven. Or look at Eliza, a school principal in North Carolina. She maxed out her Roth IRA each year using just one fund, VTSAX, a total market index fund. She never picked a single individual stock. No crypto, no real estate, no options trading. At age 60, she had $1.9 million in her account. I ignored the noise, she said. I just kept investing. What makes index funds so powerful is the compounding effect. They don't just earn money, they earn money on your money. And the fees, dirt cheap. Funds like VTIVOO or FCROX charge 0.03% or less. That's like paying 30 cents for every $1,000 you invest, less than a cup of coffee per year. Meanwhile, actively managed funds can charge 1% or more and often perform worse. Over 30 years, that difference in fees could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now here's a thought experiment. If instead of upgrading your car every 5 years, you invested that $20,000 into index funds. The wealthy don't care about timing the market. They care about time in the market. They automate contributions, avoid emotional decisions, and let the market's natural upward drift make them rich. But if owning the market sounds smart, wait until you hear how some people are profiting from YouTube without even showing their face. No face, no fame, no filming, and yet, millions in revenue. Faceless YouTube channels are one of the newest and most misunderstood passive income machines. No dancing, no vlogging, no trying to go viral, just consistent, automated content that keeps getting watched and keeps paying. Here's the illusion. YouTube is for influencers. You need charisma, camera presence, a mansion in LA, and a $2,000 mic. But the reality, you can build a YouTube business without ever showing your face or recording your voice. Just write scripts, hire voiceovers, and use stock footage or animation. Why do people fall for this? Because it sounds too simple to be real. But that's what makes it so powerful. Once a video is up, it can keep earning forever. You do the work once, and YouTube sends you a check every month. Some call it automation, others call it magic. Let's look at numbers. A channel with 100,000 subscribers posting 8 videos a month and averaging 100,000 views per video can earn anywhere from $8,000 to $30,000 a month just from ad revenue. That's not counting affiliate links, sponsorships, or product sales. Take Jaden, for example. He started a channel called History Pulse that summarizes historical events using AI voiceovers and stock images. He outsourced everything except writing. After 1 year, he was making over $12,000 a month in AdSense. No face, no fame, just smart systems. What do the rich do differently? They build content assets. They understand that in the digital age, attention is currency and YouTube is a compound interest machine for attention. One video becomes 10, 10 become 100, and suddenly you're earning while doing nothing new. And here's the kicker. You don't need to go viral. Faceless channels thrive on evergreen content. Think 10 signs of a toxic boss, how credit cards trick you, or why the rich don't save money. These aren't trends. They're timeless. People search for them daily. If you don't want to edit videos, hire someone on Fiverr for $30. Don't want to write scripts, use AI and polish it. Don't want to do the voice, pay $25 for a voiceover artist. You're building a system, not a hobby. Now let's talk investment comparison. Say you spend $1,500 building your first 10 videos, writing voiceovers, editing. That's the cost of a weekend trip. But if each video makes just $5 a day, that's $1,500, month after 3 months. Passive, scalable, predictable. Most people spend hours watching YouTube. The wealthy build channels that earn while others scroll. But if you think digital attention is powerful, wait until you see how people are making money without creating anything, just by becoming the bank. No storefront, no product, no staff, just your money. Making more money because someone else needs it more than you do. Private lending is one of the most overlooked wealth-building tools available to anyone with capital. You're not starting a business. You're not buying property. You're just acting like the bank. And the bank, as we all know, always gets paid. Here's the illusion. Lending is risky. What if they don't pay you back? What if it all goes wrong? But the wealthy understand one thing. The riskiest thing is not using your money to generate more. And when done smartly, private lending is not only secure, it's outrageously profitable. Let's break it down. Private lending typically involves loaning your money to individuals or small businesses in exchange for interest, often between 8% and 15% annually. That's far higher than any savings account or bond. And in many cases, the loan is secured by collateral like real estate or inventory. So why do people overlook this? Because they're never taught to act like lenders. We're raised to be borrowers, use credit cards, take out loans, finance everything. But what happens when you flip the script and become the lender? Meet Alan, a retired electrician from Michigan. He had $180,000 saved up and didn't trust the stock market. Instead, he started lending $30,000 at a time to local house flippers. The deals were secured by the homes themselves. His average return, 12% annually. That's $21,600 a year in income without ever picking up a hammer. The rich don't always invest in what's flashy. They invest in predictability. And private lending, when done with due diligence, is incredibly predictable. You set the terms, you control the contract. And with legal protections in place, you're not just tossing money into the wind, you are planting it into agreements with teeth. Think about this. $100,000 sitting in a savings account at 0.01% interest earns you $10 a year. That same money in a 10% lending agreement. $10,000 annually. You tell me which one feels safer long term. And you don't need to do this alone. What the wealthy really understand is this. Cash flow doesn't have to come from effort. It can come from capital. And when your capital is working harder than you are, you're on the path to true financial independence. Still nervous? Start small. Lend $5,000 secured by a title or asset. Watch it grow, rinse and repeat. But if lending out money sounds powerful, wait until you hear how people are licensing ideas and collecting checks for work they did years ago. Imagine getting paid for an idea you had 5 years ago. No meetings, no employees, no deadlines, just checks that arrive. Because someone is using your creation. That's the power of intellectual property licensing. It's the quiet asset the rich adore because it makes money long after the work is done. You write a song, invent a tool, create a character, or design a logo. Then, instead of selling it, you license it. You keep ownership and others pay to use it. Here's where people get it wrong. They assume IP is only for celebrities or tech giants. That unless you're Walt Disney or Taylor Swift, licensing doesn't apply to you. But the truth, it's everywhere. Small creators, inventors, designers, and even teachers are licensing their work for recurring income. Let's talk examples. A simple jingle you write could be licensed to hundreds of YouTube creators. A spreadsheet you designed could be licensed to businesses. An image you drew could be used in advertising, websites, and books for years. You don't need mass fame. You need a useful asset in the right contracts. Take Rachel, a former kindergarten teacher in Melbourne. She created a set of phonics worksheets for her class and uploaded them to a teacher marketplace with a licensing option. Within 2 years, over 10,000 schools worldwide had downloaded her work under license. She now makes around $4,200 a month. It's surreal, she said. Something I made in my pajamas is paying for my house. The wealthy don't think in ours. They think in assets. And licensing turns creative work into a legal asset. Instead of trading time for money, they build something once and collect over and over again. And here's where it gets powerful. Licensed content doesn't dilute. If you license a tool to 1 client or 10,000, your effort stays the same. The income just scales. Even patents, trademarks, or simple brand concepts can be licensed. And if you think this is niche, just look at Lego. They license Star Wars, Marvel, Harry Potter, and rake in billions. The IP isn't theirs, but the profit is real. Now compare this to physical product businesses. You build it, ship it, manage it, store it, replace it, support it. With licensing, you'll leverage what you already made. No customer service, no returns, just royalties and usage rights. Want numbers? If you're thinking, but I'm not a creative genius, that's okay. You can partner with creators, buy licensing rights from others, or even invest in IP portfolios. Just like real estate ideas can be rented out for profit. But if licensing intellectual property seems like the finish line, it's not. The wealthiest of all don't just own things, they own systems. Businesses that grow with or without them. So let's close with the ultimate asset of them all. You don't need to be the CEO, you don't need to be the genius behind the product. You just need to own the machine and make sure it runs without you. Business ownership, when structured with systems, is the ultimate asset. It combines cash flow, equity, and scale. But here's the catch. Most people build businesses that collapse the second they step away. The rich build ones that thrive without them. Here's the illusion. Owning a business means working 80 hours a week, managing people, solving crises, and waking up to fire alarms, literal and metaphorical. But that's not an asset. That's a job in disguise. The wealthy build systems. They document tasks. They hire people smarter than them. They use automation, SOPs, and software so that if they vanish for 6 months, the business still grows. Let's look at Sarah and Ben, a couple from Denver who opened a meal prep service. The first year was chaos, deliveries, shopping, client issues. But by year 2, they hired a general manager, outsourced logistics, and used Zapier and Audible to automate orders. Here's why this works. When you own a system, you can scale without cloning yourself. That means more income, more growth, and more time to one thing money can't buy back. Most people are taught to climb the ladder. The wealthy buy the ladder factory. They don't micromanage, they delegate, they don't react, they design, and they don't hustle forever. They hustle on set. Build something that hustles for them. You can start small, a productized service, an agency with clear deliverables, an e-commerce brand with third-party fulfillment. The point is, it's not about being the engine, it's about owning the engine. Let's say you build a business that earns $8,000 a month in profit. You spend the first year building and refining. Year 2, you replace yourself with a manager and spend $3,000 a month on staff. You still keep $5,000 per month. That's $60,000 a year for not being there. Now imagine you sell the business. At a 3x profit multiple, that's $180,000 in your pocket. You got paid every month and built an asset worth selling. Here's the kicker. Every other asset on this list, stocks, real estate, IPT, all require capital, business ownership. You can start with sweat equity, and if you build it right, the returns are limitless. But make no mistake, this is not passive at first. It's brutal. It's messy. But if you do the hard work up front and build a business that runs without you, you unlock freedom most people will never taste. While others are trading time for money, you're trading design for independence. And when the system works, you don't retire. You just stop needing to. Because in the end, the ultimate goal isn't just wealth. It's waking up, doing whatever you want, and still getting paid.